Alrighty, so number 11 is probably the most difficult problem on the study guide just because there's so many pieces. But basically all you're doing is looking for triangles, which all the angles of a triangle equal 180 when you add them together, or you're looking for supplementary angles. So basically the way that these are written takes us right in order of how we should go about, for the most part. So if I start here, the only angle they gave me is that this angle is 56 degrees, and they gave me that this angle here is 66 degrees. I'm going to start with the 56 degrees because I've got a pair of vertical angles. I also have a linear pair. So I know that vertical angles are congruent. So I know that this angle and this angle must be congruent. So B must also be 56 degrees. Then from there, I can find the measure of angle A by doing 180 minus 56, because I know that these two angles added together has to be 180 degrees because of this straight line that it creates. So 180 minus 56 gives me 124 degrees for the measure of angle A. Now I have these angles here. I could write them in to make it a little bit more visual. I'm looking now for C. Now, if it tells me that this line right here is parallel to this line right here, then I know that I have a transversal that goes through here. This angle and this angle are corresponding angles, because if I've got something in the top left, this is also the top left. So if they're corresponding angles, we know our corresponding angles are congruent. So C must also be 56 degrees. From there, if I'm trying to find the measure of angle D, D is right here. It's part of this isosceles triangle. It's also part of this triangle here. But in my isosceles triangle, I'm not given any angles, and I can't find any angles, so that won't help. In this larger triangle consisting of D, E, and G, well, G will be this whole angle. Well, G will be this angle, but our triangle consists of this big angle. It doesn't give me any angles there either. But if I look, this triangle here uses D, angle D. I know that the measure of angle D will be congruent to E and will be congruent to this angle here. So that means whatever this angle is, this will be 2 times that angle. So I can say that this angle, I can leave the variable as D, or I can put it as X. This angle will be X and this angle will be X, because they all have that one arc with that one tick mark, means they're all congruent. Now in this big green outline triangle, I've got 66, X plus X, and X as all of my angles. So I can add those all together and set it equal to 180 to solve for X, which will be the angle D. So 66 plus X plus X plus X equals 180. So I've got 66 plus 3X equals 180. Then from there, I'll subtract 66 from both sides. So I can do 180 minus 66 gives me 114. So 3X equals 114. And then if I divide that by 3, I get X is equal to 38. So that takes care of the measure of angle D, which is 38 degrees. E is congruent to D. Those are the same. So that means E must also be 38 degrees. This is 38. This is 38. This is 38. Now to find F, I've got, let me grab a pen real quick. This will work. For this triangle right here, I already have 2 of my angle measures now. I've got 38, 66, and I can solve for this one. There's 2 different ways you can do it. You can add these 2 together and then subtract from 180, or you can say 66 plus 38 plus F equals 180 and solve that way. I like to add the angles together and then subtract from 180. So if I do 38 plus 66, I've used 104 degrees so far, but I have to use 180. So 180 minus 104 gives me what's missing, which is 76 degrees for F. Now, to find G, we need to see that this triangle right here is an isosceles triangle. If it's isosceles, that means that we've got two sets, or one set of congruent sides. Across from those congruent sides will be our congruent angles. So I know that this angle right here is also 38 degrees. So I've got an angle that's 76 degrees, a missing angle, and an angle that's 38 degrees that all come together to form this straight line. So I can do 76 plus 38, and then do 180 and subtract that sum to find out that 66 degrees are missing, and that's what angle G must be. Now to find angle H, I've got, again, this angle, and I've got the two angles that are left of the triangle. I can add these together, subtract from 180, because all of the angles of a triangle add up to 180, to find this missing piece. Or I could say 38 plus H equals 180. Do 38 plus 38, which gives me 76. So 76 plus H equals 180, and then subtract 76 from 180 to find that this angle right here will be 104 degrees. Now we need to find angle P and angle N. So back to my highlighted parallel lines. This line right here, let me use a different color. This line right here also acts as a transversal that goes through these parallel lines. So angle P and this angle right here are corresponding angles. They're both, this is like in that top left quadrant, this is in that top left quadrant. So whatever this angle is will be the same as angle P. This angle we found to be 38, so P must be 38 degrees. And N is the last one we're looking for, where we've got 38, 56, and N that create this linear pair, this straight line. So we can do 38 plus 56 plus N equals 180. And then we can do 38 plus 56 and then subtract that from 180 to find the missing angle is 86 degrees. So it's best to just work on this piece by piece, starting with your vertical angles if you see any, and then linear pairs, and then moving on to triangles where you see them.